Hi, everybody. Welcome to Queers and Soaps. I'm Tommy, and tonight I'm joined by Dayna and Gregory. We're back with our My So-Called Life segment. Today we are discussing episodes 12 and 13. So I'll roll the credits and we'll get right into it. So I thought I missed an episode because
You do.
I was like, what? Like,
wait, when did this happen?
right. So the episode 12 is titled Self-Esteem. And we open, I think, with the scene of Angela and Jordan making out. And I was like did I press play on the right episode? When did this happen?
Heavily.
Yeah. I think I paused it, didn't I? See like the episode.
Yeah, you were like, wait, did we miss something? And I'm like, no.
I literally, oh my god, literally did the same thing. I was like, rewind. I was like, wait a minute, what episode am I on? And then I was like, when did they started making out? Like, this is crazy.
This feels like the network got blue balls and we're like, just put them together already.
No,
like, we're tired. The audience is tired. Just put them together.
But they've made literally no strides. Like, did they talk at the dance? Like, that's what I was thinking. Like, did I miss like a moment at the dance or something?
No, she was outside with Ricky. He like walked by her and then he stopped and he like willed her to come to him. Like, he didn't even turn around. And then she did that thing where she like leaned against the fence and was like, hey. And then he was like, why are you like the way you are? And then he walked away and she was like, how am I? And that was just how it ended.
Now we're making out.
And then we're making out.
And that was
okay. Okay. I mean, dang.
Yeah.
But okay. No, I guess so. Okay.
Very interesting. November, only because I was just pulling this up and I always have to figure out where I was at this time. November 17th, 1994 was the release date. Okay. So, maybe they wanted to go to Christmas break a little bit quicker. So they were like, come on, let's go.
Well, November is also a sweeps month, so that's good for advertising.
So maybe they were pushing.
That actually answers another question I had, because I was like, it just feels like it's like forever fall. Like, is the whole season just going to be autumn? Like, I'm like, I thought we were like in February.
No, it is. Nope. 1990s were the perpetual flannel, no matter the temperature.
Yeah. There was like
leaves. Accurate. Very accurate.
Leaves on the ground. I was like, it just feels like it's always fall. But yeah, so gotta say, I love Sober Rayanne, and I love her and Sharon's friendship, not friendship.
I love how like they kind of like are mean, not mean. They're not even mean to each other. Like, Sharon just kind of goes up and goes, what's going on? Like,
they even called it out. They were like, we're not like friends. And there was Rayanne's like, God, no.
But it's almost like the two of them understand their connection and are just acting what everybody thinks they're supposed to be.
Uh-huh.
I mean, I don't know.
Outwards, when somebody walks like this, reading each other's hair, and then somebody walks into the bathroom and like, bitch.
Yeah, I guess I could definitely see that, but at the same time, like, I was just thinking that like they feel closer than anyone. You know what I mean? Like, like unspoken communication with each other. Like Sharon just kind of like, just let's go over the bullshit. Like, what's happening? Like, this is happening, right? Like, you're seeing this, I'm seeing this. What are we doing about this? And she's just kind of like, well, I said something to her. I don't know what to tell it. Like, this is about as far as I can go.
It's because they both care about her. I think that's their common.
Yeah. It's like, you know what it is? It's giving like divorced parent vibes, where like they have their kid in common and they're doing the best they and a co-parent.
But I'm glad Angela seems to be a little bit more open to being seen with Sharon and like mending that relationship a little bit.
I actually like that.
We find out that Sharon actually broke up with her stupid boyfriend that has been acting weird this whole
Finally.
season.
Finally.
To be the reason why revealed the next episode.
Yeah, we'll get to that later. So they basically it was Rayanne that said something, right? That flat out said it. Like, you shouldn't be hidden away, like he's not claiming you, like.
Yeah. Well, she questions why, because like Angela tells Rin to not like talk about it with other people, and she's like, why? Like, why does he want to keep it secret? So Angela's like trying to explain to her why like he's telling her that it's a secret, and Rand's like, girl, what? Like, she's like, why would you want that? And then she tries, like, listen, I'm not you, you're not me. I don't get my emotions involved with it. It's just a physical thing. I can handle the boiler room. That's
yeah. She's like, you can't handle the boiler room.
Can't handle the boiler
But
room.
you just reminded me of the funny moment when she said, "Don't tell anybody." And then Sharon like calls her out on it in the bathroom, and she's like, "How do you know?" And she's like, "Man told me." And Rayann's like right there, like, she's like, "I did."
Absolutely, it's just like it's classic. This is very classic behavior. Like, as I'm watching this, I'm just kind of going, "Oh God!" Like, I don't know anyone who hasn't done this dumb bullshit. Like, let people do this to them because you're like head over heels, you know, you just give up whatever excuses, you know, you need.
But Jordan, you know, finally does break down and holds her hand.
Well,
yeah, but not till after a very, very, very long point in the episode.
So while she's waiting for him in the boiler room, hiding in the shadows because they can't be seen together, she hears Jordan talking to a friend about going to a bar to see a band play. And she does her little like cringy monologue in her head. And she says to him, "So you're gonna go see this band?" And he looks like, "Oh, you know about that? Like shit, you want me to ask you to go with me?" Like,
it's in the room, you dude. Like, she's not deaf.
Yeah.
She can hear you.
But she's like acting like she didn't hear it, and it's just something she knows about. Like, she's like, "Oh yeah, I just like thought I heard that they're gonna be there. I'm probably gonna go, so maybe I'll see you there." And then she tries to like lie to Sharon and Rayanne that he basically wants her to meet him there.
He asked me.
Yeah.
He didn't ask me. We're going. Like, she was so.
I laughed because Rayanne was like, I guess they had fake IDs, or she's like, yeah, you just put your thumb over the picture. They don't know. But I did say to Greg, I said, oh, she couldn't go to a high school dance because that was too triggering because of her situation with alcohol. But she could go to a club.
It's over.
Where there's liquor.
Apparently.
10 days sober. She's strong.
All good. All good.
But whatever.
You can just go in
and disbelief. So then they're like, oh, Jordan's over there by the pool table with his like guy friends, whatever. And you see them kind of clock Rayanne. And one of his friends like, oh, she's here with that weird girl she's always hanging out with. Which doesn't feed into like Jordan wanting to like claim her.
It's so messy. Like, it's so juvenile. You know what I mean? Like, it's that stuff that like, oh my God, this gives me such peace. Like, it gives me such flashbacks to like a time where I would never, my awkwardness would have never let me go near that club ever, not once, no matter how hot Jordan Catalano was. You know what I mean? I would never even attempt it. But just the whole like weird girl thing, oh
yeah,
got me real bad. Got me bad.
So then they're like, oh, he's like, why don't you go over there? Or like he's not like looking at you. I don't know what they said, but she was like,
whatever it was.
she's like, he didn't see me. He doesn't see me. He doesn't know I'm here. Meanwhile, they're like, so go over there. So she
Wait, but he's
awkwardly
supposed to be expecting,
he's supposed to what?
he's supposed to be expecting you. Like
Right.
the whole point that they got there
Yeah.
is that like, why do you mean he can't see you? He doesn't know you're here.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
So she goes, and he like is a jerk. He's playing pool, and he's kind of like, you're crowding me. Like, can you give me some space? Metaphorical space and actual space.
Like, oh god,
And
this whole scene was.
she's kind of catching the vibe of what's going on, and she's just like, fighting back tears, and she's just like, all right, I see how it is, and she basically runs out crying. I loved Rayanne in this moment because she went up to him before she left and was like, quit playing games. Like, if you like her, just admit it and hold her hand and like, not being a pussy.
It was. He basically said, like, he's not gonna wait for you forever. So like, you're not gonna come around, and like, if you like her, she basically told him, like, you like her.
Yeah,
we could tell. I can tell. Stop pretending. Like,
I think she even said she's worth it, or
I don't remember.
something along those lines. Like she's too good for you. Something around that.
She's smart. Like, that's the thing, is that like she's pretending to be dumb, or like her hormones are also making her really dumb, but she's ultimately a really smart person. She's just kind of like got her own priorities,
So he's been like sending her notes through her locker to meet him in the boiler room throughout the episode. And now she's mad. So she's like, I don't have 2 L's in my name. And I'm like, bitch, he can't read. like, you know this.
Well, also at the same time, just because he can't read, he should at least know how to spell her name. Like, the whole thing about that was the fact that, like, what?
No, he's
sure, but
dyslexic isn't the problem. He's a boy.
Yeah, like, he's using her for physical affection, and like, and like, if he likes it or not, if he likes her or not, like, I guess he obviously does, like, ultimately. But like, it's not okay. Like, she's ultimately just saying it's not okay to treat me this way. Like, it's either like, you can't just make out with me in the boiler room and treat me like dirt in public. Like, that's not cool. And also, like, he didn't even say hello. Like, it was all thing. Like, could you say hello to me at least when you walk into the room? Like, he didn't. He just wants to make out with her, and she has to have some dignity. You know what I mean? Like, it's just so disrespectful the way he's treating her, and it took like all the way up to like 75% of the episode to get to the point where Angela's like, finally, like, nah, I'm like, come on.
So I was looking down because I was either like looking up something or I was looking at my phone. So I missed this moment, but I caught like the tail end as it was ending. I heard Greg go, aw. So she's on cloud 9 because of everything that's going on with him, the making out. And she must have came up behind her father and like hugged him and was like, "Well, nice." Because I heard you go, "Oh, wait, what I miss?"
There was like a scene like in the beginning where she's kind of romanticizing like their makeout sessions because they don't talk, they just make out, and like the only time they ever talk is like 3 to 4 words at a time, and it's some ridiculous like CJ make one nod about his cuticles or some shit, and like he didn't know what cuticles meant.
I forgot about that.
You didn't even know what cuticle was. Oh god, yeah. So like there's that, and there's just kind of like so like I think her mom goes like, I'm not questioning it. Like, she's happy. I'm not gonna pretend like, I'm just gonna go with the flow because this is better than the way she's been like up until this point. Because she's like skipping around. I finally got my man's. How we don't know. That's another thing too, is like she doesn't even like backfill how this even started in the first place, but it did. It's wild.
So there was like 2 adult storylines going on, and I didn't really care for the teacher storyline because I felt like it was taking away from the parent storyline. I'm like, I don't want to spend
Okay.
time on people that aren't series regulars that we're probably never going to see them. But
Thank you. They're
so
just trying to make a living.
I know. So they finally get a permanent English teacher. That's been an issue all season. Them trying to get like a permanent English teacher.
Yeah. Yeah.
And whoever was subbing is math teacher, geometry, I guess, because they keep telling Angela to show up for the geometry study
Yeah.
session.
Well, the math teacher's like doubling up.
Yeah.
And that, that poor woman. I feel bad for her.
Right. The premise is that this is a really smart girl who is risking her GPA over those luscious lips.
Of course.
And
I
then-
mean,
He had a moment tonight when he was watching it, and I guess they were outside in daylight, and he was like, wow, his eyes are dreamy. And I was like, you see? That's the Jordan Catalano effect.
but that's the whole thing. It's like she's a smart girl, but her hormones and her like everything that's happening in life just refocuses priorities. Like for her, priorities are get kissing that boy. Fuck geometry. I mean, like, to be honest, like, and the way they be kissing, woo! Tell me minutes is
that was
like that.
So
just 16-year-old girl.
While they're in the classroom and the teacher's handing out the grades, so now we finally see what the results of the lip kissing has resulted her, and that was like a 59, you know, on her pop quiz, and she has to now stay after for geometry practice or whatever it is, and the girl next to her has like 98 on her test, and she's like trying to play dumb at that point because, you know, there is this like brief little moment where still not there yet, but girls were allowed to be smart.
Well, you didn't catch that whole story then.
No, I did.
The girl had a crush
because
on
she
a
had the boy,
boy,
correct?
who got a 66, and she lied and said she got a 60.
Right. Oh,
So
I got
that
4 points higher, so you can study with me.
Yeah, so he could. But the title of the episode was self-esteem, so everybody was dealing with their self-esteem issues. But going back to the English teacher, so this math teacher's like flirty with him, and I'm like, are you about to fraternize with the teachers? And so
he was trying hard.
Ricky doesn't like him. Ricky's very uncomfortable with him because he calls him Enrique by his full name. And of course, people laugh because it's racist. They even make some kind of like weird, one of the kids makes like a very not kosher comment or noise in the classroom. I can't get a gauge on this teacher. Because he seems obsessed with trying to get Ricky to sign up for the play. Is that what it was? The play?
The play.
Yeah. Well, he sees he has talent. He thinks he has talent.
No, I get that part. But maybe I thought too hard about this. I'm like, is the teacher gay? But because he's older and it's the 90s, he never got to come out and live his life. And so he's trying to project that onto Ricky so that he could be free and live his life.
I don't know. I like it could be. I feel like they might be walking us down that path. Like I thought similarly, but it wasn't like so like over the top that like it didn't quite give it away. I was thinking initially just that he's just a very eccentric, very forgetful person.
Yeah.
who is desperately trying to get this kid, like I think he genuinely sees some talent in him, and it's like I think it's those moments where a teacher's trying to connect with a student and like get them to live up to their potential. And Ricky doesn't want to do anything that's going to make him in the front and center of anything when maybe deep down he might want to be the front and center of something, you know, in his life instead of being.
I think what triggered me to go there is this teacher flirting with him, and he's kind of like non-responsive to him, and I'm like, he's not really buying what you're selling. Like,
I just feel like he was just so awkward. Yeah,
I mean, like I don't like. there are people who just do not pick up on social cues, no matter how hard you throw them at them. You can have a literal letter wrapped in a brick and throw it right into the face, and they'll still go like, "I don't
Yeah.
know what you're talking about."
But you know what I
So,
did
like,
notice?
that's this guy. He doesn't pick up like on social norms. Does he care
Yeah.
to pick up
Mhm.
on?
But you know what I did
So,
notice? Every time Ricky freaked out that he was calling him Enrique, he didn't say "call me Ricky" like everybody calls me Ricky. He didn't correct him.
yeah,
He just said "don't call me
right,
Enrique." So how is he supposed to know what to
yeah,
call you unless you tell him?
exactly. But
Yes.
that's what I'm saying. That's why I think this is like him picking up on something that's there that he thinks if he just kind of pushes him, does the gentle push in the right direction, maybe some uncomfortability will push him in like a maybe a place that will make him better, you know?
He
And like he said,
He even says
just
I'm an
say, he's like,
Enrique too, Richard,
And then he's like, well,
that's Ricardo.
that's
"Ricardo." That was hysterical. I just thought it was kind of just like how he said it. Like if I was the like gym teacher and the football coach, and I thought you could run really well, wouldn't I be asking you why you're not a part of the football team? Like, so
Mhm.
I think it's very much of that. But
Okay.
same could be said. It could be true. Maybe you're right. It could be both things. Like
We haven't circled back to that yet, so hopefully that'll come up again. Because that actor looked
yeah.
familiar, and it feels like you wouldn't
who.
hire that actor, the
Uh,
actor that played the English
I
teacher.
thought the
so
same
Jeffrey
thing.
Perry. Jeffrey Perry is the actor's name.
Mhm.
He has obviously this is after it. He was on Grey's Anatomy, Scandal, and he
Mm.
was on
Oh,
Nash Bridges.
he was on
Scandal!
Scandal.
Oh my
Yes,
god, he was that guy. He was like the wasn't he like the
he
whip
was
or
the gay
something?
guy. He was her gay
Yeah.
assistant or whatever he was. Yeah. See, he is gay. He's gay. I'm telling you.
My
He
gay
plays
arm
gay
was on
roles. He's
point.
gay.
I knew it. Oh my god. But yes, no, I thought wasn't he? Oh man, it's been a minute
Does
since
it
I
say how
watched
many
Scandal.
episodes of My So-Called Life he did, or is it just one? So Ricky ends up when the teacher walks away signing up for the play, and I like that Rayanne went up and saw that he signed to Enrique, because it's like Rayanne will like pick on him for it, but she loves him. She's like, good for you.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
4 episodes.
it's not
Oh, he's in
like
4.
yay. That's awesome. That means we're gonna get a little bit more yay. So I just think that like Ricky, our
Yeah.
boy Ricky, is one of those characters that isn't someone who's just gonna go for it for themselves. They quite literally to be like thrown in the direction of the thing that their dreams are in because they're just too chicken shit to go for it.
Yeah.
So like that's what I think this is. It's kind of like someone coming out that's like a not non-biased individual who doesn't know him from anybody else and just saying like I think you have talent, you should do this thing, and I'm going to ask you more than one time.
Yeah.
And and think about this. So far we've seen everybody's family.
But like,
Yeah.
I don't.
Except for his family. So where's his family support? And maybe this English teacher is his family support.
But the one thing I
Well,
don't understand is
find out
where's the root of him knowing that he has talent?
I mean, I don't know. I assumed that like I missed something in some moment when I was like looking away to like way he was in class, or he noticed something
So
about him in the hallway,
did read.
or the way he was a
So
little
there was an
performative.
episode. Yeah. There was a moment where he was the teacher was reading a quote from Shakespeare, "My mistress' eyes are nothing like the sun," and attempts to have a conversation with the class on what Shakespeare meant about it, and hit Ricky and Jordan. I know Jordan actually
It was Jordan and Brian.
went to go speak up a little bit.
Yeah. Okay. Well, there you go.
Who knows?
That was the moment that made Jordan realize that he liked Angela enough to claim her in public. Shakespeare.
I mean, I would have thought that maybe hurting her feelings about acting like a total jerk off towards her would have been enough. Not Shakespeare, but that's just
Right.
me. I'm
No.
assuming.
So the parent storyline before we get to the end of the episode. So Graham is taking those cooking classes, but the teacher keeps
This
failing.
is hysterical.
The teacher keeps failing to show up.
Uh-huh.
There is this woman classmate, we'll call her. And I have to say my antenna was up the whole time because Graham
I
had
know, me
under
too.
an eye.
I know. Never forget. We'll never forget. That first episode, that's all we needed.
They
Graham.
they kind of dropped any hint of it whatsoever that maybe it didn't read well with the audience. So
I remember.
Yeah.
I know
we
you
don't
remember.
want
This one, listen,
Okay.
this one does not forget a thing. Trust me. There have been times where he's like, on November 27th in 2007, you said a red sweater and you are now wearing a blue sweater 20 years later. Rolodex, 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 file
Wonderful.
folder, pull
Hey.
it out.
Don't lie to me.
No. I will know. I have it filed away. But yes, I was too. The way they were interacting, the way how friendly she was, like I was kind of wondering, like, where are we going with this?
Like I was ready to take my knife out and be like, "Back off, bitch!" Like I was coming to the defense of Patty.
Right? Like we are in love with the parents. The parents are the realest ones. Save them, protect them at all costs.
And
like seriously.
And we saw her dad, who couldn't be bothered to show up to the 40th anniversary, but he can make pop-up like appearances where he talks shit about Graham not being a man and supporting the family.
Who is literally helping raise his kids, literally cook them meals, all of them, and then he takes one class apparently, and that's bye. Bye.
So it ends up being his classmate is very loud and obnoxious, and she tries to do icebreakers like, "My name is so and so, and this is the reason why I'm here, because I suck at cooking, and my fiance wants me to learn how to cook. Why are you here?"
Everybody's like,
Graham in these scenes is literally everyone, like just going, "Who is this woman? How did I get sit? Why is it always me? Why am I always sitting next to these people?" And she is just like rolling him in with whatever crazy bullshit she's doing.
And she's just talking and talking and talking.
Nonstop. But she clocked it. She clocked it each time. Just because she's going like this does not mean she's spitting truths all day. That's all she's doing is speaking truth. She called the teacher a lush, and he was. Goes to freaking rehab. And all that stuff is just ridiculous. Ugh.
So I guess at some point, because we didn't really see it, she probably pushed him to teach how to make whatever recipe they were supposed to make, and whoever's running this asked Graham to teach the class.
Oh,
and I was like, "Oh, he has a job," but then I'm like, "Wait, is it a paying job though?"
Well, I hope, but at the same time, these kept they kept having him and Pat kept having these moments where like he would tell her like what's going on, and she would be like, wait, like she misconstrues it, like thinking that he's trying to get out of the class because he initially doesn't want the class. So her anxiety is like running 1,000 miles an hour. So she's trying to be like predict that he doesn't want to be in the class anymore. She's like pre-apologizing. He's like, "Why do you think that I wouldn't understand what the teacher's saying, or why the class would be? I would hate the class. It doesn't make sense." And she keeps thinking that he's like doing worse when in reality he just keeps doing better.
The teacher didn't show up. He was like, "We're gonna try again Friday." Like he was
going.
Yeah.
But she was like, how like she kept like, even when he's told her about the teaching, like how everyone didn't laugh, and she was kind of like, like what? like you're gonna be good enough to teach a class, kind of like a thing, like, and he was really hurt. Like he kind of went like,
I can't tell if she I can't tell if she's doing it to protect him or doesn't believe in him, and I can't
Well,
I can't figure it out yet.
it's also fueled
I
by
think
her
she's
father.
anxious.
It's fueled by her father's
Oh,
demons. Also, he's
oh
in her
yeah.
skin and in her brain.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. And I think she's anxious because like she kind of force fed class onto him too. Like she
Mhm.
signed him up without his permission. And like he's coming home and he doesn't look like super stoked after like the first class. And she's like, oh God, I gotta make up for this somehow and like start like over apologizing for no reason and ends up hurting his feelings. It's
The
like,
way she acts, I could totally see Angela acting like that as an adult. There's moments, especially in the second episode, I was like,
kind of
this is where Angela gets it from. Like they act.
Yeah, she
Absolutely.
does it. Like in the next episode, there what you're talking about is a perfect example of that.
Yeah.
Like when we get there, that'll be that moment. It was just she does exactly what her mom does. She like kind of tries to preemptively solve it before she even knows what the problem is. Like she builds up whatever the problem is in her mind, and she's like ready to like get on to that minute, walk in the door.
Well, the blonde's character is Lisa Waltz, and we will continue to see her
because they're gonna have an affair. I know it. They're gonna have an affair.
No. I know because I'm remembering pieces of this, and I do remember the restaurant part.
Well, we've seen her twice because she is in the second episode, so there's that.
Yeah.
Right.
I guess we could.
I have faith in you,
Graham. In the hallway, we see Jordan approaching Angela, Rayan, and Ricky. And she's kind of like turning her back, being like, I don't care, fuck you.
And then
and
then poor Brian looks over and she's looking over and Brian is stuck in the middle.
I was
poor
torn.
little boy.
I was like, I love this for her. She's so happy right now, but like this is destroying Brian on the inside. So it was like
literally every breath that she breathed these last two episodes was just a big middle finger to Brian every chance she got. Like just stab him over and over and over again. Like don't
well, yeah, because she like asked him to help her like study for geometry.
Oh, and he showed up and she wasn't there because she was making out at the party.
And he's like, you're so selfish. I have to study for calculus. I'm done with geometry. I already passed that. And like I have to pass calculus.
That whole time where he's just like literally like geometry is child's play compared to the calculus. You ever learned calculus? Like he's just going off on her. And then isn't this the one where she just goes, I know, I'm horrible. And he's like, no, don't just stand there and take it. Like
no, it wasn't. I don't no, I think it's the next one.
No, it is the next one. No, but this whole time Danielle, the little sister's rolling her eyes. She's like, you are a sucker. The little sister sees everything.
Literally. Oh my god, I can't.
Yeah, so Angela, he asks to talk to her if they could go somewhere, and he holds her hand and they walk down the hallway. And I guess that means they're a boyfriend and girlfriend.
Well, at that moment. So in that scene, the hand holding is rated one of the 10 most romantic moments in TV Guides, the TV's most romantic moments of 1997.
But it was 94.
This is when they were saying out of whatever they were saying from then until 1997, even though this is 94, that made the top 10 list as the most romantic moment.
Oh wow. So it still resonated 3 years later, is what you're saying?
Correct.
Wow.
Yeah. So they did a ranking of like the most romantic moments on TV in 1997, and this made the top 10. That's
a
low bar.
A low bar for TV Guide, for a piece of paper that you were able to see through.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, the whole context around this episode is that this is like episode feels like it should have been like 3 episodes from now. Like there was nothing leading up
Yeah.
to this
Correct.
that made you believe this is gonna be this.
Sweeps.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
Well, like
you
we
know.
said in the beginning, did we miss something? Like, what happened?
Yeah, right. Like I guess it doesn't matter. It's kind of what it says. It's just like the romance was just so
Maybe
crazy
it's
for
just like
everyone.
that's just high school. Things could be changed in a day, and that's just it.
You know,
They
yes.
looked at each other. He said, "Hey, come with me down here," and she was like, "Okay." And then they just started making up.
Relationships. Do you remember when like your relationship lasted more than a month? Apparently, you guys were like old lovers that just like basically a married couple. Like back in the day, like if you made it past a month, 6 months, oh my god! Like if anybody was ever together for a year, that would be like they're never breaking up. They're together for the rest of their lives.
There's only 9 or 10 months in a school year. Like that's a long
Yeah,
time.
exactly. Summer destroys everything.
Yeah.
A lot happens.
So episode 13 is titled Pressure.
Mm-hmm.
And
December 1st, 1994. So we're in sweeps.
Still in 94, huh? When did this start? July? Yeah, so great title because it's basically an entire 48-minute episode of Jordan pressuring her to have sex.
Oh god, this is so rough. I don't know how to both these episodes felt a little too close to home. It felt like a lot of it just felt so much like I'm in this show and I don't like it. Like it's just too much stuff like that. I just felt like I personally experienced very similarly. I'm sure many women or even guys would mention, like there's always someone who really wants it, and you're just like, I don't. Especially when you're a virgin, it's like I don't know if this is the right thing to do or not. And of course, they were never going to let Angela be of enough sound mind to make that kind of decision.
Right.
She's barely to make decisions any other time. Like she couldn't even drive. Like it was just
right.
So he tried to let her drive his car, and she backed into the wall, and then he like
tons of things.
He just like goes in for a kiss. He's not even mad. And this was the scene that he pulled away because it was daylight and you could really see like the color of his eyes. And he's like, "Wow, they're dreamy."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "There you are. Welcome."
He was like,
Yeah,
I was like,
of course.
So he thinks because they're in a car, he has a back seat, that they could just have sex in the back seat. And she's just like,
it's a flat surface.
Yeah.
Oh my god! Oh my god!
Boys only need. I was gonna say boys only need a flat surface, and then I was like, boys can do it standing up. Boys can do it laying down.
So I guess the parents see that he's been dropping her off. And so they're like, well, clearly they're dating. And Danielle's like, they're not dating. I would know because she listens to everything.
Is this the episode where she said that they are... What was her words? She was at the dinner table. So Angela comes home, goes upstairs because she's not hungry. And then she's like, no, you need to come down to have dinner. And they're like, is this the boy? And then the sister says, not heavy petting, but something to... Foreplay.
That got their attention. The whole time she's like, do I really need to get a flu shot? Dad, do I really need to get a flu shot? And
I don't want to get a flu shot. It's too big. The needle is too big. Foreplay.
And they're like, they're like, are we talking about what we're not talking about as far as like Angela and boy? And so she's like, are you guys talking about foreplay? And they're just like,
That girl, I swear, she's literally the best. And if this show went further, I would hope to God she would be like the best, like by far the most favorite character probably of the entire show.
So he he sneaks in, or no, he doesn't sneak in. He knocks in the middle of the night because the mother said she'd be hungry later, and sure enough, she was. So she's having some cold cuts, and she lets him in,
Yeah.
and they're making out in the kitchen, and then the mom wakes up.
Mhm.
And so she like cuts her off at the stairs and is just like, yeah, you're right, I'm hungry. And she's like, I think it's very important that the family has dinner together. She's like, yeah, absolutely, totally important, mom.
I totally agree with you, Mom.
Meanwhile, he's like
Whatever
in
you
the
want.
hallway, walking in the hallway on purpose.
With a big pair of balls walking closer.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, well, like she kind of like jokes with him saying that like, oh, why don't you just come over like when my parents are asleep and then we can do it then. Like
Yeah,
basically
right.
telling him that. Yeah, so it prompts him
And
to roll up like a little night like that.
he's like, I'm here. Are they asleep?
Yeah.
But,
Like,
but,
he literally
but he literally took it. Literally.
yeah,
Like
absolutely.
there was an opportunity, a hole, and he
Yeah. Woo!
wow.
Literal crack. Like a
Was like
literal centimeter opening. He just shoved his whole entire body through.
So there's a girl who apparently Jordan must have used to sleep with. And she has like a piercing, a nose piercing, like a stud, and Rayanne and Ricky are making fun of her because I guess those weren't cool in 1994.
Oh my god.
And they make it known to Angela that he used to mess around with her. And she's like, yeah, you didn't know? Everybody knew. I thought you knew. And she's like, well, I know now. And she tries to play it cool. Like, it's fine. I know that he had sex before me. Like, it's fine.
Yeah, right.
she's like,
Yeah,
it's fine.
it's
I already know.
So then
Yeah.
Angela's talking with
Sure.
Sharon. And Angela assumes because she grew up with Sharon that she knows Sharon's value system, I guess. And when Sharon says that she's like, why did you break up with whatever his name was? I don't remember. Was it Scott? Something like that? Steve? Something? Kevin? Brian? Something?
Insignificant.
Yeah.
Generic white man name.
Yeah, insert white boy name. And she's like, oh, because
we didn't
share the same values. And so in Angela's head, her monologue, she's a virgin. Those are her values. Like, she's gonna save herself till marriage.
Which then turns around and it accepts it from me and my choices and my feeling uncomfortable because these are my choices that I want to stay a virgin and I don't want to give it up either. And then
she's like, well, how did you say it to him? Were you just like, no, I want to wait? And she's like, what, for sex? She's like, oh no, we had sex. We had sex all the time. She's like, we were just banging her. Which totally like crashes Angela's nervous system because she's like, what? Even Sharon's had sex.
Oh my god, how did she get through it? I don't even know. Like, that's basically what she just like realized. Like, oh, I thought I had like one ally in this.
Right.
I have zero. I'm alone.
But then she has this realistic moment where she was like kind of, I don't want to use the word regretting by giving it up because I would like to believe that she was in control, but then she said, once you start,
it was expected.
It's always expected.
Yeah.
And she said it didn't matter that I didn't want it. I didn't like that. I didn't like how that was worded. But
I think I actually think that they could have really, if this was 2024 instead of 1994, I think that they would have explored that topic on how, yes, you could give it to your partner because you're a partner, and there are times that you could not want to give it to your partner, and they could have explored that conversation if it was 2024. But that's why it was kind of interesting because the writing is really good because it is the 90s, it just like pinpricks the subject and then walks away from it.
Yeah, well, they do. I don't know. I feel like they kind of use Angela and Jordan as like an example of like how to navigate the conversation. Like ultimately, at the end, like Jordan really does give like the worst nightmare for a girl's like experience towards it, and like the conversation again is where she finally gets to articulate like how she truly feels about
Right.
it in general, like why she's how all of it, and it kind of comes back around in a way. And I feel like Sharon represents like exactly what everybody experiences, like in relationships, that especially at that time, it's just kind of like you let it out, and then you don't know how to navigate from there because you don't talk about it at all. Like it just happens, and then there's no conversation about it. We're just doing it, and then there's pressure. The pressure never goes away. I guess it's what Sharon's like little morale of it. It's like just because you have pressure now and you decide one way or the other, there's always going to be pressure. It's going to be there. Like you have to figure out. And she just screamed at her to wear a condom.
Yes, she did.
Yeah.
She's like, always wear a condom. She's like, okay.
Make sure he wears a condom.
Right.
So wait,
she
doctor's office.
She goes to the doctor's office to get her flu shot, but she wants to talk to the doctor in private. And he goes, she wants birth control, like she wants to be on the pill or something. And I'm like, yeah. But she like is like, oh, she's like, I just want to ask you a few questions for like a paper I'm writing, or like for a friend that's writing a paper. And the doctor says you have to use a condom and a sponge. And I went, sponge?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, I know that's not a thing anymore, is it?
I don't know. Sponges were big in the 90s.
I don't think when you and I were of age where we could start having sexual relations, that sponges were gone by the 2000s, I think.
Yeah. Well, sponges aren't the best way of preventing pregnancy. It's kind of about as effective as I would say the pull-out method probably is.
So they used to, it was right, the sponge with spermicide on it, and then
it was something kind of like a female version, like a female's I guess version of condom. Like there were female condoms, but then like this was kind of like, I guess, one that could give you a better sensation, right? Because there's nothing around it. It's literally just whoop, whoop, up there, and then it keeps everything from going into the.
I guess that's why they said a condom and a sponge.
So, just for the record, for
I want to get to that,
right. Just for the record, for our audience that is listening, the reason why Tommy and I were very, very confused about this information is because the title of the show is called "Queers and Soaps." These two gay men were
we're talking.
He goes like this. How big is it? Is it this big? Is it this big? And I'm just like, the sponge that you have at your sink. It's like rectangle. It's got yellow on one side, green on the other.
Well,
right. Well, it was also
I'm thinking about 90210, which was before this show, and they had a similar conversation. And I think the terminology they used was foam.
Oh, foam
and a condom, because it was 1990.
Yeah, foam was the other thing. I forgot about the foam.
Foam and sponge isn't the same thing. Oh.
No, like foam wasn't foam like just a can of mousse that you and then you just spilled it on your kitty cat.
Oh my god.
No, you don't ever put anything artificial into your area. It is not meant for that.
Tears and soaps, don't forget. Go ahead.
It sounds like a UTI.
Okay, as the heterosexual on the side here, I'll tell you, and the one who has the uterus.
Thank you.
Vagina. Let's not put anything up it. If it's sterile. Okay. Okay, that includes any aerosols, mousses, creams, anything just not good. Okay.
This is a public service announcement from Queers and Soaps.
But moving
Tommy's
on.
gonna edit all this out.
Well, for the gay men in the room that are some of us are gold star gays. Thank you very much for helping us understand the
1990s contraception.
Thank you.
For those straighties.
Thank you very much. We do appreciate this, pointing us in the correct direction. And I shall not put anything mousse or aerosol in my kitty cat.
No, nothing. Your body's not supposed to have that inside it.
No. Bad kitty cat.
So Jordan tells Angela that Tino found an abandoned house that has like 8 rooms in it, and that everybody's just going there to like hump each other. And I'm like, is this an orgy? Is he inviting her to an orgy?
Oh my god! Again, like my anxiety would never let
Because
me
like
do
it's almost
anything.
like he thinks because they're together or whatever
That's the
that
next step.
that like they like of course they're gonna have sex like now.
They
Or,
made out enough. They made out enough. Like,
yeah.
see, okay.
He's
All
not
right.
even
Again,
asking her if she's ready or if she's sure. He's
right.
just like, yeah, no, I got a flat surface. We're
The
gonna do it right there.
the kissing was the thumbs up.
That was the foreplay.
That's the foreplay is the thumbs up for him.
Right. Well, that's okay. So, in my personal experience, this might be a little TMI, is that there were steps before the bases, if you
Yeah.
will. You know, like first it was making out, and it was the heaviest stuff pettings. You know,
So
and
can
then
we imply that in the boiler room there was heavy petting?
Yeah, but it was also
well,
network TV.
right. Well, they're not going to show them like, groping up on each other, but I'm just saying like it feels like he's going from like just making out to like, oh, that means we got to bang.
Yeah.
Hey man, we kissed like 3 times. Let's go bang. And it's like, come on, dude. Well, and also like the fact that he's not reading like her body language like at all about the whole thing, and he's just kind of like
not at all.
She's so withdrawn inside of herself, like, and he's not picking it up at all. He's just like, what time?
She kidding, not kidding. Obviously, kidding was like, come over when my parents are asleep, and we'll do it in my bedroom next to my parents' bed.
Yeah.
So he goes,
exactly.
He's like, yeah, cool, it's whatever. I'm down to clown. So she like agrees to go, and then he like accidentally on purpose meets her father because like he knocks on the door. I thought Graham handled it well. He wasn't like, if you hurt her, I'll kill you. Like he was just very laid back about it. He also
they had friends over at the time.
Yeah, he had his classmate who I'm side eyeing right now with her fiance because she wants to open a restaurant and she wants Graham to cook at the restaurant
with his pants down. But go ahead.
And apparently she's like a whiz with money. She can't cook, but she's great with finance. She's good to go.
So Angela and him leave. They climb through the window into this abandoned house. She's all like, are you sure we're not going to get arrested? And it was like the scene that I was like, wow, she is so paranoid and about doing the right thing and controlling the situation just like her mother.
Yeah. Literally.
True.
Well, I think a lot of it, like, so I was kind of trying to give maybe Jordan a little bit of the benefit of the doubt. He's giving like, this is what you do type. Like, not that he was like, I don't know. Part of me thought he was thinking was like, I got to do it because like, the guys are going to be like asking me and stuff, like, let's just get going. Instead of just get it over with, let's just do this thing so we can just like get beyond it kind of thing versus like trying to really romance her. So like a part of me was wondering if he was like just absent-mindedly going through the paces and like was really caught off guard about her being so like not really ready to jump in right away because obviously others have been like with him. So like he think this is normal. Like all he kept saying is like, this is what you do. Like this is what we should be doing. Like I don't know what you mean.
Like he literally took her to a party where the goal was for everybody to get into one of those abandoned rooms, one after the other, and have sex on whatever mattress or flat surface was there.
Yeah. Right.
Ew,
that's what I mean.
Thinking about that people are just like waiting for the next couple to get done so that they can get in there. Like
so when they're sitting by the fireplace, and he's like, "Oh, my friend told me that there were 8 rooms.
There's only 3,
and there's only 3 rooms." And like I looked at him and I'm like, ew. Oh my God, wait, they have to wait for a room to be available and then they're going to use the room after. Like I wasn't even thinking until they actually got into the house through the kitchen window that there were going to be other people there.
Rianne was there.
Okay, well,
I thought
of course Rianne
sober
was there.
Rianne.
Of course.
Of course. I
know,
thought it
like,
was. I thought the whole time that they were going to be in an empty house. That
yeah,
not that it was going to be a house party, and
Right.
then that changes the whole thing.
Yeah.
And like I said, this is not my experience, but like pressure I remember feeling, but not necessarily. Like it was always kind of like, oh no, we need to find like we have to figure it out where someone's parents aren't home.
Yeah.
Then we're gonna take advantage of that as long as humanly possible. You know what I mean?
Right.
Oh
I
man, this
remember.
is gross.
So Angela sees Rayanne, who's like headed out. So for a split second, Rayanne was with like a couple of people, and then she's talking to somebody, and you saw an arm, and then I'm like, is that supposed to be Tino's arm? So she's saying she's
Mm,
gotta catch a ride with Tino, and I'm like, Tino's in the next room. Like we're never gonna
yeah,
see Tino.
and he's gonna
um,
leave her behind.
so then as she's leaving, Jordan's like, oh, the room's ready. And she's like, oh, I should really go check on Rayanne because she's like newly sober and like I'm really worried about her. Like so he's like,
Oh,
okay,
girl.
so I guess go. And she's like, okay. And she like leaves, crawls out the window. And
Yep,
so now
literally.
she's avoiding him because she feels awkward. She's lying. She doesn't go to school. She says that she's having side effects from her flu shot.
Mm-hmm.
Um, was Ricky in this episode? Yeah, he was, because she was doing the whole in the bathroom with Ricky. I thought that was cute that she like hangs and hugs all over Ricky.
Yes, and he was like, not that I understand or I've had any opportunity to do anything.
Yeah.
So he's the virgin.
But he kind of explains what he thinks like the first time should be. Like it's very romantic and special.
Yeah.
And the girl that has the nose ring is in the stall and hears it, and she's like, that's exactly how it should be.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, like again, Ricky coming in clutch, being like an amazing friend, and
Yeah.
just kind of telling her like you don't have to have it in this like raw percent of like what this is supposed to be. Like it's supposed to be what you want it to be because it's yours. Like you don't have to go with anything at any time. Your consent is required. Like
Yeah.
it's not,
This
and
was
it's not
another
like it's like
scene. It was either this scene or it was a different bathroom scene, but with Sharon and Rayanne, and there's these other girls there talking about sex and like what it's like, whatever. And Rayanne's being like,
yeah,
I
that
agree.
was
And they rub ice down my tits. I'm like,
No. You start from the navel and then you go up. And they're like, does this boy go to school here?
Does more is it Mickey Rooney? Is that what he said? Like
Mickey Rourke or whatever. Yeah.
Mickey Rourke.
But I feel like
he's like, oh, Mickey Rourke can go to school.
But I feel like that was like another bonding-ish moment with Sharon and Rayanne because they both just kind of laugh it off and they like leave the bathroom together.
Yeah, that she's like freaking because Angela's freaking out about it, and she's like, "Oh, because I think that's when before Sharon like talks to her a little bit more about the whole thing. It's like that little scene happens where she's like, "Oh, is she scared?"
Yeah,
because like she's asking her all these questions before, and Sharon didn't put it together, and then she finally got the tea from Rayanne. She's like, "Oh, okay."
The intimacy porn tape.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. It shows her that whack ass tape that it's like, what are we?
I love it that every like the kids that were watching it were always like their head tilts to the side.
A lot of foot play in this video.
And then like they freak out because the dad's coming and like they can't get the tape out fast enough and they drop it on the floor and they kick him under the bed. Graham finds it and he's watching it and the mom's like, what are you watching? Where'd you get this?
And he's like, you left it here.
Oh my god, that leads to such a crazy moment too for Graham.
A crazy
later
moment?
on where he gets stuck in the living room.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Yeah.
So Angela,
they really should have done a little bit more with that. I'm wondering if in the actual taping of it, if it was longer and they just had to cut it, because there were some great moments.
So Angela
God.
asked Brian if she could use his bike to go see Jordan.
Again, just when I was starting to like her.
But she did have that self-realization. She's like, I'm sorry. She's like, I always
Nope.
She was like, I always do this.
Manipulative bitch.
I always ask you for things. Like, you should just do everything for me.
That reminded me why I hate her. Manipulative bitch. And then she left the
I was thinking the same thing. I'm with you on this. I'm like, no, she's saying all this because she's like, silly me. I'm a bitch. Like, you know.
Oh, I didn't read it like that.
Oh, bitch!
I thought she was being sincere.
No sincerity.
So messy.
So, she rides the bike to see Jordan. I guess he's working at the garage because he was wearing a weird hat and it looked like he was wearing a uniform. Not really sure. And he's just so gross in this scene. Ugh, I can't even remember what he said, but it was really gross.
Yeah.
But it was pretty much like he was implying that they should just do it, and like, what's the big deal? And like, no.
That this
Ugh.
This whole thing makes me think that like a part of him is just like in this headspace that it's just like another thing you do when you're like together. Like it's the next step. So it's just like this like societal thing that he needs to accomplish because they've declared that they're with each other.
Right.
So I was trying to give him a little bit of benefit of the doubt, but of course he doesn't know how to articulate like that's what he's thinking.
Yeah.
And he does say like in really gross terms, kind of just like, you owe me, you know, we're together.
Yeah.
Like,
but that seems to be, but that's their relationship, that their dysfunctional relationship between each other. You know, I need to use you, and I'm going to apologize.
Yeah. And that's literally how it started. I mean, like the whole, like when you're starting off on this foot of like where he's already trying to pretend like you don't exist and like just really wants you to, you know, be physical with him and you can't like talk about anything. And like the only way he knows how to show any sort of emotion is just, you know, with his mouth, I guess. I don't know. Like it's just, I know. You know,
it's hard. I can't figure out if what is in control, his heart, his brain,
right?
Or
agreed. Right. And I think that makes what makes the character really real. And a lot about like what makes Angela real too is that like she's also being ruled by her hormones. Like she obviously finds him super attractive. She loves making out with him, but like to go to that next step is a huge deal for her. And it's like, is this really like something I truly want to do with him right now? And the way she articulates it later is like they're all coming around to it. And I think that's why I want to give Jordan a little bit of the doubt, because like he likes her enough to try to speak on like what is really bothering him about the fact that she's being so like evasive about this, because she's also not telling him what she's feeling. She kind of just goes, yeah, sure. And like when he sets it up, she's like, bye. And that's gotta hurt his feelings, you know, like men are also incredibly sensitive creatures. Like they feel things, you know.
Sharon kind of makes her aware of that. That's why she asked to borrow the bike, because Sharon says, you know, you don't talk to people. She's like, she's like, you kind of have a tendency to push people away. Hint, like me when you ended our friendship.
Right, exactly. Like remember when you decided to stop talking to me and give me like completely iced out? Yeah, like what you're doing because you're afraid of the confrontation, and then on top of it, like being able to articulate your feelings. Neither one of them, they're still teenagers, mind you. They don't know what any of these feelings are. They're just super duper intense. And boys don't have as much as a way to keep it under control. Like they just kind of go. Go. You know.
So she's really hurt by what he said, and I guess for all intents and purposes, they break up. And she leaves, and you and I guess didn't even notice she didn't take the bike with her, because we didn't realize it until Brian's like, you didn't bring my bike back, and she's just like, oh. He's like, so you did to me again. And that's when he says, well, it's no fun if you just sit and take it. Like if you don't come back.
Yeah. Still though.
So he comes
So now this is when
This
the
is
dad
a great
the
scene.
dad's on the couch because he was
Yeah.
tired. He wanted to take a nap.
Wait, did
No, him and Patty were getting into it, and then
Oh,
Patty had
alright.
to get up, and he was on the couch still from them kind of doing a little from the tape. They got each other a little going on from the
But he did
intimacy.
say he was tired, so he was like, gonna
Yeah.
take a nap.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
he's like crouched and he's listening to this whole conversation, and he even was cringing because he's like, he literally like covered his face and was like stop, because they're having a sex talk.
I don't know these things about my daughter.
Right.
Oh.
So he kind of gets as much as she'll let Brian know about her personal life, which is more than she'll tell her parents, obviously.
and which was a lot to tell to Brian.
Yeah. So then Jordan brings the bike to Angela's, thinking it's hers. And Brian's like, "Oh, it's actually mine." He's like, "But I'm just gonna like leave it like on the curb in case she needs it again."
Yeah, I didn't understand that part.
Because he's her bitch.
I know.
Literally.
So then
And
Jordan,
it's so upsetting.
right.
So and then the mom gets to like, get a good look at Jordan as he's like trying to get the bike out of his trunk.
As she's backing out and stuff.
I thought she was gonna roll the window down and like introduce herself, but she just like stared him down. Like how awkward.
Yep.
Like, I see you. I see you. Girl.
Yep.
She doesn't even know what's going on. She doesn't know that they broke up or that any of
You
this.
don't need to know.
No, she
Smell it
doesn't.
on it.
Dad knows everything.
And I feel like Dad knows
Well,
not to say anything to her.
Well, they were so like a little bit of what they were talking about, kind of like, oh, like we need to kind of like reinforce with her to like safe sex practices, because if they are like dating, like we need to like go on top of that a little bit.
Yeah.
So they kind of I think Patty's kind of like thinking like, I'm watching you, dude, just so you know. You ain't getting my girl pregnant, I'll tell you that.
No foam, no sponge, no love.
No play. Yeah.
So
Literally.
him and Angela have one last conversation, and she's like, "So do we have to like make it official, like by having this conversation?" And she basically reiterates, I guess, that they're like on two different speeds, and she's not ready. Like she likes kissing him.
Yeah.
And Claire Danes does that, you know, that beautiful tear down her cheek as they're breaking up. And he gets close to her, and she's like, "I'm gonna miss how soft the back of your head."
Oh my god, that was so.
I was like, okay. But if it was cringe, but that's how teenagers talk. That's like their priorities.
Yeah. Like everything is on 11. Like they're feeling in love on 11. That's the only way to explain it. Is that
absolutely.
like everything is all over the top.
So then I was kind of unclear because this felt like a breakup, but then when he said, "I'll see you tomorrow," and he kissed her, I was like, was that his way of saying he doesn't want to break up?
And then Angela says that sometimes someone can say something really small that just fits into the empty place in your heart.
I think they both thought they were going to break up about this, but
They're
like
not.
when they started talking about it, I think that like she was like, "Oh, we're breaking up," and he's like, "Well, okay, fine, like, you know, we'll just see where this is going, you know, kind of thing. Well, I'll see you tomorrow." And then that was like her going, "Wait, we didn't break up." You know, like why would he see me, you know, like at that point, like the next time we were broken up,
Which
you know,
is
yeah.
And sure as shit, she went for a bike ride with Brian's bike that he left on the curb for her.
even after all that, she
You know
just
what?
goes,
Brian
like,
knows what she needs. He knows that she's gonna want to go for a bike ride with her.
Justice for Brian. That's all I'm saying.
Aww.
Justice for Brian. For those parents. They're the ones that deserve it. Angela just is traipsing through their lives. You know, whatever.
My favorite quote was when Brian and Ricky were watching the video. He's like, "My parents have a vibrator, and it sounds like a freight train," or whatever he said.
Yeah, him and Brian and Ricky watching the intimacy video, and they're both their heads tilted like.
I can't. Absolutely, I can't. It's just ridiculous.
But did you guys want to add anything else before we wrap this up?
Just that, this is just, I'm in these episodes and I don't like it. I felt like I
You're in it.
a little
You as
bit.
Dayna are in this. You lived this.
Yes, I felt like I felt a lot of it was felt very relived. Just kind of like being in a weird relationship, not relationship, like what they call a situationship these days. Kind of situationship, and then also the immense amount of pressure, like that. Even when you're not a virgin, to have sex with someone for like the first time, whether you are or aren't, like what Sharon said was like resonated very much a lot in experience, in my lived experience. So there's just a lot. I feel like the writers did a good job like talking about it, probably about as much as they were ever going to be allowed to on primetime TV towards like young teen girls. And with all of that, you just keep thinking to yourself, like, this is not going to end well. This is going to be heartbreaking.
I wonder what time slot this aired in. Because 9 o'clock, you can get away with more than 8 o'clock, but 10 o'clock feels too late for teens to be watching. So it was probably on.
Yeah. That's what I mean. Like, I think it's kind of a situation, but it still was very much written towards the teen girls. And I can't imagine that any network would let them go too far in any of that direction. But we'll, so I don't know.
Anything else you want to add?
No, some of the stuff that is going on in the relationships, I guess, not that it's hard for me to identify with, because I didn't have a cisgender straight, relationship that, and I'll say this for our gay friends that are listening to this, ours was a little different because you had to hide a lot more, and you had to winky face a lot more, and then you had to jump at whatever opportunity that there was, whether you wanted it or not, because it might be a very long time before something else showed up.
Yeah.
And that's the difference between my age and your age, that I was probably the beginning of it being a little bit more acceptable, but it was still like a stigma. Like, you didn't talk about what bar you went to, all of that.
Sexual preference aside, I feel like this is still relatable. Like, I remember these emotions. Like, even going episodes back, when that morning scene, I was like, she's drinking coffee how he likes it, and sure as shit, that's what she was doing. Like, I knew it because that's how we thought back then.
Right. The intensity at that age, where like the drama was like, when that, even with just among friends, like no one said a crossword or like just slightly out of pocket, and like the drama that would ensue from that side comment, or like somebody wearing something slightly similar to you. Well, at least amongst girls anyway, like there was just it would like, you would have to, I remember having to feeling very much to temper myself just so I would have friends, like, because friendships could,
that's gonna be me soon.
you know what I mean? Like, it's a lot of that stuff, and like change, like manipulating who you are so you can have some, what you felt like, social standing, like it was like Mean Girls, literally, like that's another one where it's just like, it shows like what, on an exaggerated level, but like
it's so true.
It's like, and I mean, I don't know, I think this is probably why the show was so critically acclaimed. It's very good. It's like, it does give you a real good snapshot of like what teens are like. They're awful, just absolutely awful.
Winnie Holzman did a great job writing this. Like, she really stayed true to the character, the angst.
Mhm.
and anxiety.
Absolutely.
And I love that the
Dummies.
dad even felt like we got to like visibly see somebody else cringe at this on the show.
Right. And that's like, I feel like that's where I am. It's like weird because I'm watching this for the first time and all I relate to is the parent.
Well,
Like
because
right now.
we're probably the age
Right
that they were supposed to be on the show.
Yeah, exactly. It's wild. Yeah, you just it's just one of those situations where you just think of yourself like, oh, it's finally happened. I'm at a show. I am no longer commiserating with the teens. I'm parents all the way. And Angela is bullshit.
I know. I used to be. I'm like, oh yeah, I love a teen drama. Give me a teen drama, and I'm just like,
Yeah,
shut up. You're so
get
annoying.
Exactly.
Respect your parents.
Hey, respect your elders and get back inside during curfew.
Get off my lawn.
And make sure you
Yeah.
get off the lawn and return Brian's bike. So unfair.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us for another edition of My So-Called Life. We're coming towards the end. We have 6 episodes left.
Oh my
Can
god.
you believe it?
What happened?
We're almost there.
So that's a few more weeks at least. But as always, you can find us on all the socials at Queers and Soaps. Until next time, have a great night. Bye.
Bye.